This program contains adult content.
Is there a God?
Big atheist.
Really?
What am I, an idiot? Come on.
That yes, it would be nice if you could throw your sins and your responsibilities on someone else. But it's not true.
It looks like far-left lunacy.
I don't believe that it's true that religion is moral or ethical.
You don't need to follow anybody!
It's not human intelligence!
If someone doesn't value logical consistency, what logical argument are you going to give them that will demonstrate that they should?
Hello and welcome to the Godless Revolution. Today is Monday, March 11th.
Yeah, it is.
This is episode 242. 242. What is it? What is it called when you can go forward or backward on something?
Well, it's... I can't remember.
Car? No, I don't know.
No.
Like race car, you can do that.
Well, there's a thing with certain words where you can...
Yeah.
It's the same spelled forward as...
Is it palindrome?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But does
I was
that
like,
count for...
that's the word that's popping into my head, but I wasn't sure if it was right.
I know that goes for words, but does it also work with numbers? Is it still considered a palindrome?
Sure.
Okay. Yay.
Numbers are just different letters.
Symbols. Different symbols, maybe.
I'm Dan Ellis.
Yes, you are.
And we're here doing the thing in the show.
Yeah. I'm Orion Duffy.
We're all here this week.
Yeah. I'm Orion Duffy.
Hey, what have you guys been doing for the past couple weeks?
Oh, it's been exciting.
Yeah. But my glasses are fogging up again.
Mother, you're too hot.
I am. I don't know what to tell you.
It's fucking steaming this place up.
And there's still sun out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Fuck daylight savings time.
I like daylight savings. I don't fuck standard time. We should stay on this time.
This time, yeah. Stay here, not change it again.
Yeah.
But, last week I was working behind the scenes on a Netflix trailer.
A Netflix trailer?
Well, like not a trailer, like a pilot episode.
Pilot?
Yeah.
So by behind the scenes, do you mean like crawling around behind the curtains, like trying to get a peek?
Well, I was filming all the behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, you were working there.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was actually filming all the behind the scenes stuff going on to help make a promo for investors.
What's the pilot?
Oh, it's an actual one of the episodes because they had written a full season. So they just.
But what's the show?
The show is, if you could imagine, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, placed inside of a barbershop, but raunchier.
Oh.
So it's a comedy. Funny. The pilot episode had everything to do with hand jobs in an Asian massage parlor mafia that was trying to extort them because they found out there were hand jobs.
Was it all about Bob Kraft? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Bob Kraft made a visit.
In a barbershop?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the thing about the show is it's guys that own a barbershop that's not doing good, and they try to think up of ways to drum up business and get more people to come into their barbershop.
Let's offer hand jobs.
Yeah. Well, they were offering massages, but it turns out the guy was giving hand jobs instead. And they figured they would be okay with hiring a dude to do massages because who would go there to get a hand job from a dude? Well, apparently a lot of people. Then I got my nipple pierced while filming that. That got filmed.
Awesome.
And then
Did that fucking hurt?
A little bit.
It had to have hurt, right? I mean, they're shoving a big needle.
I won't lie. It wasn't pleasant.
Was it the kind that like cuts out a bit of tissue, or did they just poke a hole?
No, it was straight up like a long, like giant hypodermic looking needle.
Yeah.
But there was no like plug hole.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I think some of them like core out.
No, there was no like coring out a chunk of skin. So it pinched really good going in. And then it had to come out the other side. And that's when I was like, holy fuck.
And that's like, that's a bit stretchy too, isn't it?
Yeah. So
you gotta,
so when it went in, the skin was held a little tauter going in, but going out, it had to push its way through the skin.
So you had a big old nipple tent.
Yeah, that part fucking hurt.
Yeah.
And then my Nissan decided to grenade itself.
What?
What happened?
Transmission blew up in it.
No way.
Are you kidding me?
Nope, I'm not lying.
What are you doing, Speed Racer?
Apparently it's been a common issue with the Nissan transmissions. The guy said they had 5 come in this week.
Oh, wow.
So Friday night, after we got done filming all week and stuff, they had an after party here in Salt Lake, and I'm driving down to the after party, and my car's starting to act weird, and I'm like losing power, and I'm like, oh, this isn't good.
Just giving more throttle, and it's just whoom.
Yeah, revving crazy, no power, no nothing. So we make it there, and I'm told Sarah, I'm like, Sarah, I'm not even. I'm like, I might have one drink. I'm like, I don't think we can stay long. I'm like, I think the car's fucked.
Yeah.
So we stayed there for about an hour and a half, and then I went to drive home. Got about halfway home.
You're a slow drinker.
Well, I was hanging out. And then they got about halfway home, and the car completely no power, no nothing. Ended up coasting off the highway, down the off ramp, shot around a corner, and had to push it into a parking spot at the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
No as Benjo.
Nope. Luckily, it's under warranty, so I don't got to pay anything.
Oh, that is good.
But I don't have the Nissan's gone for like 10 days, almost 2 weeks. So
wow. And then it's going to be that they've fixed something on it, and it's going to be just one problem after another.
That's what the guy told me, was that he said, we're not going to put a factory transmission back in your car. He goes, we're going to put a new redesigned, rebuilt transmission in there because the factory transmissions are having issues. So he's like, if we put a factory one back in, it's going to do the same thing. So
no OEM parts for you.
Well, I guess technically they're still being put in by Nissan. It's a Nissan approved fix for their bad transmissions. So hopefully it'll solve it. And
so just not the original. It's a upgraded.
It's an upgraded version of that transmission to help hopefully fix the issues that those transmissions were having. But since they're doing that, it's not like you're just taking one out and putting a new one in. They got to completely disassemble the old one, take all the bad stuff out.
Your warranty doesn't come with rental coverage.
I figured I had the Corvette.
Yeah. I'd have been like, no, motherfuckers, paid for this car.
They did have
shit is blowing up.
They did have a nice Dodge Challenger sitting there. I almost felt like telling the guy, I'm like, I'll just trade you. Take the broken Nissan, and I'll take that Dodge Challenger. But yeah,
10 days.
About 10. They said next Wednesday. That happened. I dropped the car off Saturday, and he said I should have it back by next Wednesday. But I go to work on Wednesday, so I might get it back not this weekend, but the following weekend.
Jesus.
So
it's a long time, man.
Yeah.
I saw that you were driving the vet, and I saw your post about a daily driver and that your other car had blown up, and I was like, I don't have time to go and search back through everything to see what happened there. But
it grenaded itself.
Bummer about
So, and it just happened. It wasn't like, it's getting bad. It was straight up like, no,
just
it's
suddenly?
fucking done. It's fucking done.
There were no indications or anything, and just cruising along fine, and then I'm fucking done.
Just on the way to Salt Lake, it was having issues. Like it wasn't keeping the RPMs in a good range. Like it kept slamming back and forth every once in a while, or having big bumps in it. Then I got off the freeway in Salt Lake, and I went to go from a stoplight, and I was like, I got no power right now. Then all of a sudden it kicked in. I'm like, okay, that's fucking weird. Then got in the freeway, and all of a sudden it's like I can't do 60, I can't do 50. I'm like, I'm coasting right now. I'm like, I hit the gas, and nothing's fucking happening. So luckily I was pretty close to an exit and managed to coast off.
Yeah, that was pretty lucky.
That sucks, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm just glad. I was pretty pissed. Sarah could probably vouch for I was a little irritated that night.
I've never had any problems with any of my Nissans.
Yeah. That's why I got a Nissan, because they're known to be reliable. But I guess apparently that CVT transmission they've been putting in them is complete shit. So.
Well, that's terrible.
Yep.
And you, sir?
I have a couple of 2 items from this last little bit.
Okay.
The first one is that I think the YouTube algorithm is broken.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Used to be really good at suggesting new videos that are similar to the ones I was watching, but lately it's been super random.
Yeah, they want you to watch what they want you to watch that they promote, I think, now.
It's probably because I watch videos on the same channel. And
I mean, like at work and stuff.
Oh.
But I don't use YouTube for music or anything, but 3 different times it suggested a video called Calm Piano. And it's an 8-hour instrumental, like for meditation or something, maybe.
It's probably from when we were looking for sounds for shit when we were doing the Halloween stuff.
I was going to say, I've never searched for anything like that. I've literally only looked up like depression, hatred for humanity, suicide. Calm Piano is totally out of left field. How dare you presume to know what I need? Yeah. So that was an interesting one. The other one is that Republicans love to complain about the left, especially when it comes to wanting free stuff, free college, healthcare. Libtards don't want to work for anything. They just want handouts, all that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go on Fox News, make their own podcasts, and use bullhorns at colleges to talk about a very special one-time deal from Jesus. You'll get forgiveness. You'll get love. You'll get eternal life. And if you accept right now, we'll throw in a brand new reinvented heaven just for you. Not for $5.99, not $4.99. It's absolutely free. That's right, free. It's a gift. You know, the thing Republicans hate.
There's got to be a catch. Nothing's free.
Well, apparently this is.
I'm trying to remember the name of the preacher that Tracy and I noticed over the weekend. We were out. I always have the news on.
Yeah.
And there was some, Jesus, my voice keeps cracking. There was some preacher who came on, and it was a name that I recognized as somebody who's been around doing this for a long time. And he was selling like living waters.
Oh,
like
shit.
You just, actually, he wasn't even selling it. But the whole gist of the deal was there's testimonials from people saying that I wrote and I got my, little packet of spring water or whatever. Like he sends you this little fucking pouch of water, like the ones 1 by 1 inch square, plastic pouch of,
it's like
apparently blessed Jesus water.
It's like the ones they put the turtles in China.
Mm-hmm. And it's basically so that they can get your address and then start spamming you with shit to send them money. But they had all these testimonials from people. Oh yes, I sent away and got my water back, and then the very next day, just checks started showing up in my mailbox. There, the first one was for $55,000, then the next one was for $10,000, and every day I go out there and there's just a check in the mailbox, and I'm like, oh yeah, from who? Where the fuck are you getting this money from?
Yeah,
like it doesn't say from God's bank account to you.
Right.
Well, to tell the truth, I get those all the time too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's for me to take out a second mortgage on the home.
Yeah.
It's a real looking check.
Oh, yeah. It looks like one.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah, it's not good for anything.
So I wonder if that's what they're getting.
Could be the kind of people that right away for send me some Jesus water.
Hey, you've got really good credit. Here, we'll give you $35,000 at 25% interest.
Yeah. What was your other thing? Sorry.
I had a lot of fun with the alliteration last time, so I'm doing it again.
Awesome.
Yes.
I forgot to fucking type up the other one. It sat down here. I'll have to do that tonight.
I have 2 D's in my name, and each of you have D's.
Yeah.
So I decided to take them back from Donald Trump, too.
Oh, wait, is your middle name David?
David.
Ah.
Yeah.
I'll put that together in my head with my brain.
Good, very good.
Just like the
with my brain.
Very good brain. It's like a really good brain. Dear David Dennison, you damn dim despotic dictator dumbass. You dishonest DACA dreamer dasher. You delusional droopy dicked dastardly hoo-hoo gold. Dome damaged diaper deposit. You dramatic, diabolical, despicable, draft-dodging douchebag. You derpy, disloyal, double-talking, hoo-hoo gold, degenerate date rapist. You depraved, dishonorable, dull, disgraceful, dirty, deregulating dinosaur. You dehumanizing, deplorable, daughter-perving, destructive, developmentally dead-ended, dainty-digited, Dorito-dermist, demagogic dumpster fire. Now I'm done, you deflated dromedary decoy.
Nice. I like that. I got to take that one too. Yeah. I'll put that in the pile of shit Dan needs to transcribe for Facebook postings.
They need to be made. What was like Jack Handy on SNL?
Daily affirmations?
Yeah. It needs to be made into those.
Because you're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you.
No, they weren't the daily affirmations. They were the ones where it was like the really fucked up thing was like,
oh no, you're talking deep thoughts.
Deep thoughts.
Yeah.
If I walk into the forest. And just something, and all fucked up.
I was thinking, was it Stuart Smalley, right?
Stuart
that was
Smalley,
the name, was the of
Al Franken.
Al Franken, thank you.
Yep.
I'm just my head's all scrambled.
Aren't they all?
My brain is scrambled
like an egg.
Sure. I haven't been up to a whole lot other than a lot of fucking work.
You've been golfing?
Oh yeah, I did. The golf season started last week, so that was nice. I got to go play 9 holes. It's cold.
You got to go hit a little Donald around.
There's still snow on the golf course.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound fun.
It was fun-ish. Fun-ish. Fun.
I hear Mar-a-Lago's open for golfing right now.
That would not be fun. I would not want to go play there.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of traffic.
Just knowing where that money's going and the kind of people that are there. Like,
Yeah.
That would not be fun. I would not have a good time. The whole time I would be angry that I was there, actually, probably.
Just divots everywhere.
I could go and fuck up the golf course.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I could have a good time doing that. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm just a really bad golfer. I don't know what to tell you.
I thought I could use a wedge on the green.
Having an off day. I don't know. Every shot, I'm just taking up like a yard of dirt. I don't know what's going on.
Roll a few carts.
Yeah.
I might have done that on a public course.
Put one in the water trap or whatever.
I didn't put one in the water. I didn't put one in a water hazard, but I know a couple of people who did, and my regular golfing buddy has just had. I think he still has it, but he doesn't use it anymore after this. Had just a push cart, you know.
Is this
not the kind that you pull behind you, but the one you push in front of you is a Sun Mountain 3-wheeled golf cart that you push in front of you. And he always would, like, as we're out on a hole, he would just like give it a shove if it's going, you know, if there's any kind of slope, you just give it a shove or let it go and let it just coast down the hill.
Walk behind it.
Yeah. And I don't know what was going through his head when he decided to do that on hole number 1 at Valley View. But hole number 1 at Valley View is a dogleg left with a big pond right in the neck of the dogleg. And we're just walking down the hill and he lets go of his cart and it just, and then like immediately started turning left over to the pond and like hit the little thing before it and made this nice little arc right out into the middle of the pond and had his phone, wallet, keys, camera, everything in there. This was back when, I mean, we've been golfing together for a long time, and this was back when we just had fancy flip phones.
Yeah.
But he also had his digital camera out there, and
yeah.
So that was all just fucked.
He goes swimming.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then it's only like, I don't know, 6-7 feet deep at most, like in the middle.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's just like sludgy,
swampy,
fucking,
gross.
It's stagnant.
It's totally fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
It's got like mats of algae.
Oh yeah, just rotting vegetation in there, and it smells horrible if you step in the mud or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to go fishing all of his shit out of there. And then now he just carries his bag with him all the time.
Yep.
I bet.
Yeah. So, and then I have flipped a cart over onto its side. I wasn't meaning to do it. It just happened. Got going down a hill a little too fast, and at the bottom of the hill went to turn and slid off the turn, and then there's a hill on the other side, so we hit the hill and just tipped over onto its side.
Did you say you didn't brake really before you entered the turn?
I was trying to a little bit, but not nearly enough. And well, I was afraid that if I braked too much that we would lose track, which we ended up doing anyway. It was just, I should have been braking much earlier than I was.
This wasn't alcohol induced, was it?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. That might have looked like a yard sale with a lot of beer afterward because the cooler went flying also with all the ice and beer. So golf is fun. I get to golf on the Tuesdays now. That means that I don't get a lot of sleep Monday night into Tuesday because I got to get up at 4 to go to the office, and we're recording the show the night before that.
Sleep's overrated.
Yeah, fuck sleep. Who needs that?
Right.
I'm still trying to catch up on it from this week.
What else did I do? So I posted it out on Facebook. We haven't recorded since it happened, but I went into the office a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And was sitting there at my desk, just doing my happy stuff. And one of my old coworkers approached me, and we just started talking. She's like, "Hey, how you liking the new job? How's everything going?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's good. I'm really, really fucking busy. Like there's a ton of work." And she said, "Oh, well, the old team, I'm sure misses you, and you got out just in time." And I found out that a lot of my coworkers listen to the show.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Really?
So hi, everybody.
Hi, all Dan's coworkers, except for DAMF.
Yeah. If DAMF hears this, go fuck yourself, man. But apparently
that's interesting. A lot of coworkers? I mean, well, that's a relative term, I guess. But.
Yeah. I mean, I know at least 4.
Wow.
For sure.
I'm still amazed.
Had no idea.
When I pulled up today, I was still thinking, man, I've been coming here a long time, you know, and even before this house, we were doing it. I can't believe people listen to the show. I mean, you guys are great, but like sometimes I'm just like, it's crazy that I show up and talk about shit and anybody downloads it, you know? It's just a weird thought.
I like the shit you bring to the show, man.
Well, yeah, no, I wasn't trying to, I mean, it's a difficult subject to bring up without sounding like I'm shitting on you guys. Like I can't believe anyone listens to this show. That makes it sound like it's awful. That's not what I mean, I just think it's weird that it would be one thing if there was this audience that we knew we were addressing, but the fact that people have to actually go search it out and download it regularly and all that, and the fact that keeps happening over 5 seasons is crazy.
Well, and then that we don't even necessarily know who it is.
Yeah. There's just people out there right now listening to this, and we have no idea.
There's tens of thousands of people just listening to us every week
and we do a horrible job promoting ourselves because we don't promote ourselves.
Dude, I
somebody else has done it for us though a little bit, like early on. That's how some people they built a list of atheist podcasts and put ours on there.
Oh yeah, there are different sites out there with stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I haven't had time to be on social media much at all lately. And honestly, I get a little tired of any little thing I post and somebody's got to say something shitty on it. Like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with people.
I just tend to really
they can't
ignore
just
them.
I don't, I don't agree with this, but it's not really harming anybody and whatever, no big deal. But well, and even if it's something just completely innocuous, somebody just has to make some shitty random comment on it that, I don't know. That's something that I thought I was more used to. And lately it's just been bothering me more and more. Because then I feel like I have to address it and I have to reply. And really I don't. No. And so I shouldn't, but then it just eats at me. But anyway, yeah, so there was all of that. She stopped by. She said, oh yeah, well, you got out just in time. Because the boss that we had been on a detail to another team, and now he's off of it, and somebody else who I was working with is now the manager of the team, and the one other great employee in that team is just kind of left by themselves now.
Oh.
And I mean, this guy, he's awesome. Like he's a workaholic, and he does great work, and he's a good communicator. He's fun to be around. He's a hard worker, but now he's like picking up all of the slack over there.
That sucks.
Yeah, he's going to put himself in an early grave. You need to chill out, Steve. You're awesome. I think you do a great job, but holy cow, man, you'd put in a lot of hours that you're never paid for, and you shouldn't have to do that. It's going to fail, and it won't be your fault. So we were talking about all of that, and then she said something about, oh, and I'll bet you're just so glad to be away from some people on the team. And I'm like, yeah, there's at least a couple I can think of that, yeah, I'm glad I don't have to see anymore. And she said, oh yeah, well, she mentioned DAMF's real name, and she's like, well, you heard that, we'll just call him DAMF because that's what I was calling. She said, you heard that DAMF got in trouble a little bit, right? And I'm like, no. She said, oh yeah, well, he was just doing a bunch of shit, and everybody really got tired of it. And she said that her and another one of my old coworkers, he would come and bother them whenever he was in the office, and they were, well, I told you guys, whenever I was in the office, he'd just fucking buzz by my desk and
not care if you're on a phone call or whatever.
Yeah. And even if I was on a call, he would just fucking stand there until I was done. Like, go the fuck away, dude. Send me an email, send me an instant message.
Go be
got
productive.
Something important to say. Let's set up a meeting. I'm not your friend. I'm not your buddy. I don't want to chit chat with you. But she's like, oh yeah, so he was doing things like bringing books of Mormon to work.
Oh.
And passing them out to people, asking people what their religion was, asking why they may have stopped attending church. And he asked this one coworker who I was talking to what her religious beliefs were. And she's like, oh, I believe in God, but I don't go to church. I don't belong to any specific religion or anything. He's like, well, you should be a Mormon. You should read the Book of Mormon because, the Bible's okay, but that was for a different time. The Book of Mormon is for this time. And this is what you got to learn. And you got to know these things and live righteously and blah, blah. And she's like, and I told her, I'm like, why is it any of his fucking business what religion you are? And why the fuck does he think it's okay to ask anybody that at work? We're here. We're paid to do a fucking job.
It's a government job as well.
Yeah. Not to fucking proselytize people, not to delve into their personal lives. I'm paid to do a fucking job, not to be your friend, not to be your buddy. I don't want to fucking hang out with you. We're not going to go work in the temple together.
Yeah.
None of that's ever going to fucking work, dude. I'm not going to go fishing with you. None of that shit.
Maybe the church is handing out finder's fees now.
And so then we just kind of start finishing each other's sentences like, she'd say, oh, and then it's like every meeting, I'm like, he's got to bring up something with religion. Like, that's all he fucking talks about. And she's like, exactly. We couldn't have a meeting. We couldn't have a phone call, nothing where he wouldn't, bring up something about the church or working in the church or doing home teaching or talking to the bishop or whatever the fuck. And I'm like, oh yeah, it gets to be too much. And she's like, well, I guess somebody finally, complained to HR or somebody else about it because he got a talking to. And I said, oh yeah. And she says, and I think he thinks that it was me and this other coworker that she hangs out with all the time. And I said, oh yeah. And she said, yeah, because now he won't even talk to us. Like he won't even look in our direction, doesn't come by and everything. I'm like,
what a fucking baby.
Yeah. Well, and I'm like, well, that's gotta be a relief. And she said, well, yeah, it's been kind of nice, but I don't have to fucking talk to him all the time. But she said that she ended up blowing up, after one meeting because everybody is so overworked and there's just so much work. And then we were shut down for a month and everything is behind and everybody's just under a ton of stress. And she said, yeah, there was a meeting where I lost it. I lost my mind and I started screaming, fuck and fuck this and fuck that. And I'm not going to fucking do it anymore. She's like, I thought that I was going to be fired. And if not, that I was going to quit because I was just fucking done.
Yeah. Stress has a boiling point.
Yeah, you reach, like, you let that shit build up, and then you hit that critical point, and people Hulk out sometimes.
That's why you have babies 17 years apart, so you have punching bags for most of this whole period while you're going through your adult transitions and all this stress.
But so she says, he would do that in every meeting, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, it got so annoying. And she said, and I'm sure he thinks it was me or this other person. She said, but it wasn't either of us. And I said, I'm pretty sure I know who it is. I said, I attended this training class and we talked about it on the show. I think even that I attended a training class and one of the new guys on the team, everybody left for lunch and I was busy finishing something up or sending an email. And this other guy, as we were both exiting the training room, he's like, hey, you ever had a problem with DAMF at work? And I'm like, oh yeah, a lot. I'm like, dude thinks we're buddies, but no, I don't like him. And he bugs the shit out of me. And he's like, well, he's going to get himself in trouble with a lot of the things that he says. And I'm like, well, he ought to someday, if not. Yeah, we did talk about it on the show because I was saying I should contact him and tell him that, yeah, if he wants to do that, I'd be happy to back him up or whatever. I never contacted him. But apparently
he didn't need backing up.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that it was him because most of the other team believes along the same lines as DAMF. And this guy's new and wasn't accustomed to hearing this at every fucking time that he had to be around DAMF.
Yeah. Everyone else is just used to putting up with it.
Yeah. So then I guess, I'm guessing it was this new coworker. I don't know for sure, but I would be like 90% sure that that's who it was. And so he said something, and then DAMF got a talking to, and then this old coworker that I was talking to, she said, oh yeah, so then in the next meeting, we're sitting there, and he goes to say something, he's like, well, never mind, I've been told that I can't even say anything around here anymore. Oh my God. I just can't even talk, so I'll just shut my big fat mouth.
Poor baby.
Oh, poor fucking you. We don't have to listen to you anymore. Yeah. So But then she said, oh, and then, my other coworker who I like quite a bit, who's working himself into an early grave, she said, oh yeah, this coworker told us to listen to an episode or two where I had mentioned DAMF, and I believe it was when I was talking about DAMF talking to another coworker and telling them that their son wouldn't have Crohn's disease if he was going to church regularly and paying his tithing and everything. She's like, yeah, I didn't really like him much, but then I listened to that and I really didn't like him a whole lot more. So, yeah, fuck that guy in particular.
Yes.
And then she says, oh, and then he even changed his day in the office so that he's not in the office when me and this other person are in here. And I'm like, oh God, which day does he come in? Because
you're coming.
This was on a Thursday that I had gone in, and I had planned on coming in on Tuesdays in the future. And I'm like, what day is he coming in now? And she's like, Monday. I'm like, okay, then I'm safe. So I won't have to see him. He won't have to see me. That'll be fine.
You should just tell DAMF, hey, go to this podcast and give it a listen sometime.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he has not listened to at least an episode, because he would
just seeing what's Dan doing.
Well, he would ask me about it every night. Oh, you still doing that radio podcast thing that you do? And I'm like, yeah, it's going pretty well. Got a few listeners anyway, and some people seem to like it. So
us heathens are becoming popular.
He might have listened to it, but I'm hoping that I was going to say, I know he doesn't like strong language, but he's one of those Mormons that uses curse words to think he's cool.
Oh,
when he's really angry, he'll be like, yeah, and he'll look around, fucking time that I do, It's got to curse really on the down low because Jesus might be listening. Just annoying fucking guy. I'm so glad that I don't have to fucking work with that guy anymore.
I hear if you curse into a jar, Jesus doesn't see it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Does it have to be an opaque jar?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
It's either that or you got to throw 50 cents in it or whatever.
I don't think he'll fit. I got to see this DAMF guy. I've been hearing about him for years.
I'll show you pictures.
Okay.
Oh. When we take a break. I'm going to write it down. So, DAMF pictures. So that we can look them up during the break.
Cool. I'll have something to jerk off to later.
Also,
well, I'm playing with my nipple right now.
I also took Gray out for the 22nd anniversary of Adoption Day.
Wow.
Yeah. 22 years
That's
ago.
A big
that
one.
seems like a long time, man.
Time goes by way too quick.
Yeah. Well, and he was really, really sick on the actual anniversary, so I had to wait a week to take him out. And
did he have that cold flu thing that's going around? Or?
Yeah, he was super sick.
Yeah,
for a week or more, just really, really sick.
That's awesome, though, man.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
He is that. Yep.
And then yesterday, Tracy and I went and saw Captain Marvel. Yeah. And we saw that. So Saturday night, we watched Aquaman because it's available on digital streaming now, and of course, Jason Momoa's in it, so she was interested in watching the movie.
Right.
And which he's a good-looking dude. There's no denying. The movie was fucking terrible. It was an awful movie, just so bad.
That's what I've heard.
Imagine that.
It was it's a DC movie, but in a comic movie, which you don't like. But.
The thing is, and it's
Aquaman.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Christ's sake.
I was gonna say the only thing I know is that So this reminds me of, God damn it, what's that new Mary Poppins one called?
Mary Poppins?
Is it?
I don't know.
Poppin' Pills?
Yeah, Mary's Poppin' Pills. But anyway, the new one that came out, right? So after 40 years or 50 years or whatever of people ridiculing Dick Van Dyke for his awful attempt at a Cockney accent, you would think they would make a move to correct that. Yeah. But they didn't. And it's pretty bad too. So you end up with the exact same problem that they,
he's just trying to emulate the original one.
They were trying to be true to the original,
more or less. Yeah, I mean, more or less, it's maybe not quite as bad as Dick Van Dyke, but it's still pretty bad. And that reminds me of this, where it's like Aquaman is like this character that this DC has already got problems in the reputation department, and then they decide to go with a character who has been ridiculed for I don't know how long.
Forever.
You have to go above and beyond to make this movie good. In the same way that you'd have to actually cast somebody like Danny Dyer or Michael Caine or whatever to do that Cockney role in Mary Poppins. Like, you'd have to really do it right. So I'm not surprised that Aquaman didn't live up to it, because that's a really tall order.
Well, and it's like it had moments where you're like, this could have been a decent movie, like, but it was like a cascade of errors. Like, the directing was bad, the acting was bad in some spots, the dialogue was bad, the writing was bad, the editing was bad. And it was like, okay, for all of these shortcomings, we're just going to throw a lot of money into CGI and we'll just wow people with how cool it looks. And that just didn't work.
Yeah.
And it was just like ridiculous fucking stupid things in it. Like
I heard people were making fun of the fact, like, you're Aquaman, you're under the water, you got to make a bubble to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then, like, it shows how fast he can swim and all of the Atlanteans can swim. But then they also have these vehicles that they can travel in for some reason.
Because they can't swim fast enough.
And well, and it's like when they're swimming, they're not really moving their limbs very much. It's like they're just powered by... Yeah, they look like a torpedo, basically, right?
Farts.
But then they have... It was so bad. It was just fucking terrible. Awful.
Is that the idea, that they're from the city of Atlantis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. And it sank below the sea, and then they've had these warring kingdoms under there for a while. The Cthulhu monster thing was kind of cool. I mean, just
because it was Cthulhu, or
it wasn't really Cthulhu, but there were some subtle hints that that's where it was from. Like in one of the opening scenes, there's a H.P. Lovecraft book on the coffee table, and I mean, so little homages to a few different things that were kind of cool. And Jason Momoa is cool. I like him. He's a good-looking dude, and there were other people in it that are cool, and Amber Heard's in it. She's very attractive. It's just a fucking terrible, awful movie, though.
You just got to not be like that reporter who asked Jason Momoa to do a haka at the premiere.
What?
He was at like the Emmys or whatever. Like, he was in line. She goes, "Just give us one of those dances real quick." And he's kind of like, no. Like, it's not just like a little dance. It's like, this is part of our like heritage.
Yeah.
This is like a cultural thing. It's nothing to be like mocked.
I'm not your dancing monkey
like this. Yeah. So his girlfriend even goes, "He's not going to do that for
you." So you were in the live action Little Mermaid, right?
So Aquaman was fucking terrible. And then we saw Captain Marvel yesterday. And that was fucking great. Yeah. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
I'm going to try to go see it this next weekend.
Very entertaining. I mean, the dialogue and acting and everything is great. It was just...
The dialogue was great?
Yeah. It was really good.
That surprises me.
Well, and then Tracy and I were talking about, like, the difference between DC and Marvel afterward. And it's like, DC just makes awful movies about their comics, but a lot of that, I think, is because the DC universe just isn't as cool. And, like, DC sets up its superheroes as they're godlike, where Marvel is more they're human beings who happen to have some special power because of whatever reason, but they're still flawed and dumb.
Yeah,
and
slightly more like that.
Yeah. Where, just their circumstances led them to be this hero, and they're usually kind of a reluctant hero, but they're like normal humans, with weaknesses, fucking up and doing dumb things. Yeah. And DC is like very serious about itself while it's making shitty, fucking terrible, awful movies
and bad characters.
Yeah, and like I say, and they're
Superman is one of the worst characters.
Yeah,
I mean, we could talk about this on some, outside of Comic Corner or whatever we're doing on this. But
yeah,
he's
Superman.
Jesus. He's like a Jesus. Like, what's that fucking lion from that other stupid movie? The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movie. Aslan,
right. Something like that. Yeah.
You never saw it?
I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, like he's a total Jesus figure in that movie.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
Superman is like that too. It seems like to me.
Well, yeah, definitely, dude. Like in that
last Superman movie, they actually try to make him be more of a Jesus figure coming here to save everybody.
And even in the first one, like there were a couple different scenes. I can think of the one in particular where he like floats up into the sky above everybody, and he's got his arms spread and his one leg kind of tucked up, and I'm like, that looks like Jesus with a cape on.
Yeah,
right. But yeah, DC, I think just has a lot more religious overtones in it than Marvel does. Marvel is very much more godless
Deadpool?
heretic kind of thing. Yeah.
I think of it more as like Greek mythology. They have like tears, and it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah,
they
but
do have more flawed characters.
Like DC is very, very heavy into, I think, much more Christian-y kind of religion stuff.
Ugh.
I'm not a fan. But let's talk about other stuff.
Yeah, some real Christians.
Okay.
This is Nick Fish, president of American Atheists. You can learn more about our work at www.atheists.org. Make sure to check out our national convention coming up Easter weekend in Cincinnati, Ohio. We'll look forward to seeing you there, and you're listening to The Godless Revolution.
Rejoining the Godless Revolution podcast now.
All right, you guys remember talking about Eric Porterfield?
Oh yeah, old Winky.
Right? Old, not very good at seeing guy.
No.
He's the Republican from West Virginia who, during an interview, basically threatened to kill his kids, drown them if he ever found out that they were gay, or if they told him that they were gay. For your listening pleasure again, we covered this on a previous episode, but here's what he had said during an interview.
Let me ask you this.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a adorable daughter and a precious son.
Mm-hmm.
What would happen if a few years from now, when they're teens, young adults, they came to you and said that they think that they might be gay or lesbian?
Well, I will address my daughter first, as I would take her for a pedicure, take her to get her nails done, and see if she could swim. If it was my son, I would probably take him hunting, I would take him fishing, then I'd see if he could swim.
Yeah.
And he's just got this glaring smile on his face.
Shit-eating grin on his face the whole time. And this is after he called LGBTQ groups the modern-day equivalent of the KKK.
Yeah.
So he's a walking piece of shit, right? And so we at the time noticed that he was very squinty and had some kind of eye issue, and I think we might even mentioned it just kind of in passing, but it wasn't something that we were going to tease him for. We're not going to tease somebody about their infirmity.
Even though I did call him squinty.
Unless, of course, that infirmity is a direct result of some shitty fucking things that they've done in their life prior to this time. And so after this whole thing and after that episode, I noticed this story last week from the West Virginia Charleston Gazette-Mail. And the headline of the story is How a 3 a.m. Bar Fight Left a West Virginia Delegate Blind.
Mm-hmm. I love how he's got on the wall behind him, "For we walk by faith, not by sight."
Yeah.
He ain't got none.
Jesus, take the wheel, or my feet, or something. I gotta be ambulatory somehow. But the story says that more than 12 years after Eric Porterfield, who made national news earlier this year comparing the gay community to the Ku Klux Klan, lost his vision in a parking lot brawl, his legal battle against the bar where it happened continues. Porterfield, now a Republican member of the House of Delegates from Mercer County, started that night in 2006 at a strip club in Harvey, Illinois, a tough suburb just south of Chicago. It ended in a fight involving as many as 10 people outside a now-closed Indiana bar about 30 minutes away. The fight left Porterfield completely blind at 32 years old. Porterfield has said he earned his divinity degree at Hiles-Anderson College, an unaccredited Baptist school in nearby Crown Point, Indiana. He got a degree in bullshit from a bullshit school.
Yeah, I guess the guy that goes to the divinity school, as long as that divinity school is fake, it's all right for him to be hanging out in a house of sin.
Mm-hmm. He did not pursue criminal charges against anyone involved, but sued the bar, Kavanaugh's Sports Bar and Eatery, several months later. Depositions and court documents from that lawsuit, as well as from a police report obtained via Freedom of Information Act request from the police department in Schererville, Indiana, detail significantly different versions of the fight. Porterfield's lawsuit alleges Kavanaugh's failed to provide adequate security that could have prevented the fight and seeks unspecified damages. He cited 5 other fights at the bar that year and a high area crime rate that should have prompted more security that night. The lawsuit has been in the Indiana court system for more than a decade, and the latest filings came last week. Porterfield directed a request for comment to his lawyer for this report. He also threatened to sue the Charleston Gazette-Mail and a reporter over the story. His lawyer, A. Leon Sarkeesian of Merrillville, Indiana, did not respond to multiple phone calls.
So does he not like the First Amendment where there's a freedom of press?
Apparently not.
Okay.
At least when it comes to him.
Yeah.
According to his own deposition, Porterfield and a friend, Stephen McPherson, left Skybox, a strip club. Skybox, that's a strip club. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Strip club in Harvey, Illinois, around 10:30 p.m. on the night of Saturday, December 10th, 2006. They headed across the Indiana state line to Kavanaugh's, where they remained until closing time around 3 a.m. Bars close at 3 a.m. in other places?
Oh, yeah, sometimes like 4 a.m. Some like Chicago can be like 5 a.m. for some bars.
Oh, I want to go to there. Maybe in my youth. Now I leave places around 10 o'clock and order soup to go. According to her statement to police, Andrea Acevedo, a patron at Kavanaugh's, was walking to her car with her cousin and two friends nearby after the bar closed. McPherson approached her and touched her arm without permission. She told police McPherson told her to shut the fuck up. In her deposition in the lawsuit, she told attorneys he said, "Fuck you, bitch." She said she told him it was late and he was drunk. He apologized. McPherson told police he knows he said something derogatory to Acevedo, and he might have told her to shut the fuck up.
Might have.
I might have told her to shut the fuck up. I mean, I might have, and she says I did, so yeah,
it's
probably that happened. Then, according to Acevedo, Porterfield approached. "What are you apologizing to this bitch for?" Porterfield said, according to Acevedo's deposition. "You don't have to apologize." As two of her cousin's friends, Jesus Venegas and Jason Dorado, approached, Porterfield addressed the bunch. "What are you bitches going to do about it?" he said, according to Acevedo's deposition. According to Acevedo and her friends, Porterfield threw the first punch. Dorado said he's 100% sure Porterfield took the first shot. Venegas said Porterfield threw the first punch, knocking him out cold. So everybody there says that Porterfield, this West Virginia Republican delegate, is the one who threw the first punch. Anthony Acevedo, Andrea Acevedo's cousin, said he heard yelling before the fight. Quote, "I just noticed, people were yelling, and it kind of caught my attention, and then, I turned around and looked over, and I see this guy hit Jesus, hit Jesus," he said in his deposition.
He wouldn't hit Jesus.
McPherson told police the fight began among Porterfield and the others, not himself. He also told police that Porterfield told him not to talk to the police. The police officer writing the report said McPherson changed his account. Quote, "I was concerned that he was also not being truthful with me about his involvement in the fight or him being hit at the beginning of the fight," the report states. McPherson, per the report, eventually conceded he did not know who turked the first swing. He was not looking at the others, so he does not know who threw the first punch, the report states. The documents paint a chaotic picture of a fight, further muddled by changing statements to police and depositions taken years after the incident. Dorado told police he saw Porterfield swing and knock down Venegas. According to Dorado's deposition, Anthony Acevedo then hit Porterfield and the two went at it. Jumping in, Dorado said he grabbed Porterfield and put him in a headlock. When Porterfield bit his ear, gnawing a piece off of it.
Fucking straight up Mike Tyson, that shit.
In the police report, an officer details information from a doctor who said Dorado told a nurse that Porterfield bit his ear when Dorado had him in a headlock. Dorado then, quote, "poked his eyes out," end quote, during the fight. "What the fuck do you want? He bit me," Dorado said to the nurse, according to the report.
Well, yeah, he was asking for it.
In his deposition, Porterfield say he may have bitten someone's ear, but he didn't know whose. "I don't necessarily recall it, but it's very possible with just a bunch of guys on you just doing anything to get loose from them," he said. "It's not like a specific, you know what I mean, target of biting, and without my sight, I don't know what or if I bit and what it was. It's hard to tell."
You know if you bit.
"I could have been gnawing on a man's ball bag. I don't know." According to the attending physician, Porterfield was diagnosed with bilateral globe perforation, meaning he had his eyes poked out.
Yeah.
Porterfield told police he doesn't remember anyone poking his eyes and that his injuries were from punches.
What?
Because that happens a lot, that your eye can explode from a punch.
Unless you just punch your finger into the eye.
McPherson told police that after he fell into some nearby bushes, he was hit at least 10 times. From the ground, he looked up and saw Porterfield on the hood of an SUV with about 4 men beating him. In his deposition in his lawsuit against the bar, Porterfield said he didn't know what started the fracas. Who gold?
Yeah.
He said he was leaving with McPherson, and as he walked through the lot, he turned around and saw his friend surrounded. He asked the men to leave McPherson alone and said that he didn't want any trouble.
Bullshit.
Unfortunately, Eric's effort to extricate his friend from the confrontation was unsuccessful, and the incident resulting in his injuries ensued, Porterfield's attorney wrote in a brief. During the fight, attorneys for Kavanaugh's did not specify who Porterfield claims threw the first punch, only that it was McPherson who was hit, and that he was surprised the altercation occurred. Porterfield said he wasn't drinking the night of the fight. In their report, police officers noted the smell or effects of alcohol on almost everyone involved except Porterfield.
So he was in his right mind while being belligerent.
Yeah, apparently he wasn't even drunk and was just an asshole while totally sober.
Yeah, showing up at bars and starting fights.
He's got zero excuse. I mean, not that drinking should be an excuse, but...
Yeah. McPherson's deposition aligns with Porterfield's account, although it differs from what he told police. In his deposition, McPherson said several men came up behind him and Porterfield and said something. When he turned around, McPherson said the group was coming at him and signaling a fight, seemingly without provocation. "Man, I'm just here to have a good time," McPherson said he told them. "I don't want to fight anybody." McPherson said he took the first punch, knocking him into the bushes. He told police, when confronted about his story changing over multiple statements he provided, that he did not take the first punch. Police also found reason to doubt Porterfield. After speaking with witnesses and participants, some of whose accounts differed from Porterfield's earlier statements, an investigator described Porterfield as vague and evasive about the beginning of the fight about 6 months after it happened. Quote, "I asked him if he threw the first punch of the night," the report states. "He stated that it was possible. He became argumentative. He stated that he could not talk to me about it, and he wanted to take time to remember."
So time to change his story.
"I got to talk to my friends and make sure our stories all match up." In June 2007, several months after the fight, Porterfield arrived at the police station with an attorney where he declined to provide a statement and said he did not want to pursue criminal charges against anyone involved in the fight, a request police heeded. 4 months later, Porterfield filed suit against Kavanaugh's in Lake County Superior Court. The case has since been appealed by Kavanaugh's attorneys to the Indiana Court of Appeals, the state's second highest court. The lower court ruled with Porterfield and struck down Kavanaugh's motion for summary judgment. The order does not determine whose account is the truth, only that enough facts are in dispute that summary judgment would not be appropriate. The case is ongoing, with the latest filing having been submitted Monday. Earlier this year, Porterfield garnered notoriety statewide for his anti-gay and lesbian statements and use of a slur in a committee meeting. He entered the national spotlight when, defending himself, he compared gay people to the Ku Klux Klan without wearing hoods. In a 20-minute broadcast interview, he repeated the sentiments and cast himself as the victim, given the feedback and threats he said he received. When asked how he would respond if his son and daughter, as teenagers, told him they were gay, he seemed to imply drowning them, which is what the clip we just listened to. In a previous interview, Porterfield detailed a public war of words between him, a pro-choice OBGYN, and a local magistrate that involved a temporary personal safety order being filed against him. To the openly expressed frustration of many House Democrats, Porterfield retains his committee assignments. With a degree of prescience, he said back in November he would make waves in Charleston before he ever even took his oath of office. "Wait till they get a hold of me in the legislature," he said. So, fuck that guy in particular, too.
Because he's like an asshole.
Wait till you get a hold of me in the legislature, because I ain't got no more eyes to poke out.
Wait till they get a look at me.
I bet I look beautiful. I haven't seen myself in 30 years.
What a jackass. And so, him being blind is largely the result of him also being a giant asshole.
Yeah. And a bit of probably a hypocrite.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what we get from people on the right all the time, is just blatant fucking hypocrisy, right? It's really bad when somebody else does it, but when somebody on our team does it, it's because they were tempted by Satan, or there's some mitigating circumstance, or you're taken out of context, or you didn't you misunderstood what they meant. That wasn't their intention. Yeah, they provide cover and cape for everybody on their side and condemn everybody else on the other side, which drives me insane. You guys know Mike Lindell, right? Yeah. He's from your neck of the woods, I think.
Is he?
Either Wisconsin or Minnesota.
I think he's from Minnesota.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You don't want to claim it? He's not a serial killer, so you're not going to claim him? Is that it?
I would rather claim a serial killer.
Whoa.
Ed Gein was a much nicer man.
Oh, yeah? So, I complained to you guys, I don't know how long ago, and every time I see those fucking stupid-ass MyPillow commercials, it drives me nuts, because he has a button-up shirt, usually buttoned all the way, but then he takes the time to yank his chain cross out, not even through anything. It hangs out over his collar just enough so that you can see the cross dangling there in all of his stupid fucking commercials for MyPillow.
I never even paid attention to that.
Oh, yeah. It drives me nuts.
I never really paid attention to him to begin with.
Yeah.
But now I might have to look if I see one of those come up again.
Yeah, so I've never liked the guy because it was just so blatantly obvious what he was doing. To me, anyway, I thought it was obvious that he was pandering to Christians in the audience. Buy MyPillow because I suck Jesus' dick. So I was interested when I saw this out on Right Wing Watch. It says, Mike Lindell, Trump is the greatest president in history because he was chosen by God. Apparently, Mike Lindell, the founder and CEO of MyPillow, which advertises relentlessly in right-wing media. That's where I see all of his commercials.
That might be why I don't see any of them anymore.
Was given a speaking slot at this year's CPAC convention.
Of course.
Which is the Conservative Political Action Committee, I believe. Where he declared that President Trump is, quote, the greatest president in history because he was chosen by God. Lindell recounted that he had a divine appointment with then-candidate Trump in 2016, which he left convinced that, quote, God has chosen him for such a time as this.
Doesn't make sense.
And we've got a clip of him at the CPAC that should be interesting. I have not watched this yet.
He doesn't have the cross
Now
poking
we're
out.
going back in time to 2016, and I see myself in divine appointments, and one was especially important. Donald Trump invited me to meet him at Trump Tower in New York City. I walked into his office with high hopes on August 15, 2016. I walked out of that office after meeting with him, and I knew God had chosen him for such a time as this.
What a dumb God. What a dumb, capricious, shitty fucking God.
And when I hear God has chosen him for such a time as this, it's like, I know you're talking about your fucking death fetishing end times cult
Your
shit.
death fetishizing Jesus returning to the motherland.
To kill everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring on the apocalypse.
Yeah. Pretty much.
God answered our prayers, our millions of prayers, and gave us grace, and a miracle happened on November 8, 2016. We were given a second chance and time granted to get our country back on track with our conservative values and getting people saved in Jesus' name.
No.
With Donald Trump leading the charge in that area?
The porn star
Somebody who's been married how many times? Three or four different times.
And has never been faithful to any of them?
Yeah, he's cheated on them all.
Yeah, he's cheated on all of them.
Hush money to porn stars who he's had affairs with.
Lies, threatens
doesn't pay
people.
his taxes. Yeah.
No, he's a fucking monster. And this is who God sends to save the conservatives?
I mean, I thought Donald Trump was a con man before he became president. So
he was.
Yeah, for sure.
As I stand before you today, I see the greatest president in history.
No. Wow. By what measure? Like number of associates who are indicted and spend time in prison? Yeah. Highest number of scandals?
Longest, thinnest hairs.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. The orangest of presidents?
Yes, definitely that.
Of course he is. He was chosen by God.
No. I bet Lincoln, dead and laying in his corpse in his casket.
Laying in his corpse.
Yeah. In his casket with his head blown apart for more than 150 years, has more hair on that scalp than Donald Trump does.
I don't like how do conservatives reconcile what Donald Trump is as a person and what he does with that being Christ-like and
because God
being chosen by God to lead them into the future?
Because Jesus was a flawed man. So Jesus...
No, he wasn't.
But God's going to hand us a flawed man.
Jesus was not flawed. Jesus was perfect.
But he hung out with the prostitutes.
There's only been one man who was perfect, and that was Jesus.
Trump. Oh, yeah.
I think it depends on who
he was
ask.
fully God and fully man, but he was perfect.
I think the big reason is because they don't know a lot of this stuff because they watch Fox News, and they don't report any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing, it's like you take the good with the bad, that kind of attitude. It's like he's doing all of these good conservative things, but he's, kind of a flawed package for all of this goodness.
Mm-hmm.
But like from our point of view, he's politically fucked. He's morally bankrupt. He's all but at least they think they agree with his politics. We don't have that. So for us, he's just top to bottom fucked.
They think he's a man of God, but
I don't think they think that. They
I think some
he's
do.
Appointed of God.
No, I think some think he's a godly man.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a weird thing in itself, too, right? That the people that think he's appointed of God, but not a godly person himself.
Yeah, that's kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah,
but
why would God choose this imperfect instrument?
This guy that doesn't even do the basic stuff that I tell you, doesn't go to church or read the Bible or anything.
Well, maybe that kind of plays into the whole narrative that they not necessarily promote, but that they find all around them anyway, right? Is that we see Catholic priests and bishops and cardinals who are molesting, kids and moving pedophiles around and raping nuns. We see church leaders who are interviewing young children without their parents around about their sexual thoughts and who are molesting children. We see this kind of awful ugliness around us all the time from people who were supposedly appointed and chosen by God.
But then you hear them make the claim, I've heard, where they go,
so he just kind of fits the mold as
a little bit,
a really shitty person that believes or is promoting the same things we want.
Well, I've heard people make the claim saying, well, that's because that priest is a mortal, flawed human being. He can't he can't control that.
It's those kids shouldn't have been so fucking sexy.
Well, I mean, and this all
he just couldn't control himself.
This all goes back to the same thing with Joseph Smith too. It always comes back to well, why did God pick such a fucking obvious con man? Why did he use Joseph Smith? Why did somebody who we can literally look back and say that guy is a bad person? He's not a good dude. Just immediately destroying your own credibility for this whole thing you're trying to establish by picking this guy. And it's the same problem here.
Do you think it's like the same thing, where a bunch of conservatives and redneck people, people, red staters, they're not poor, they're not middle class, they're just failed millionaires. There's that whole belief, right? That I could be a millionaire.
In their own mind,
in their own mind. I could be a millionaire one day too.
It could work for me, yeah.
It could work for me, and I could be president. I could do anything. I mean, look how fucked up this guy is. He's president. Look at all these people who are failed and flawed and fuck up all the time, and they lead these lives as celebrities or as, religious leaders. And sure, they fuck up all the time, but they still have God in their heart and they're trying to do the right thing, but they're just tempted by the devil.
It's the dogma, right? That's the problem. They behave dogmatically about their political leaders the same way they do about their religious leaders. They've been sold this bill of goods by, billionaire businessmen like Trump, that the policies that work good for me and my billionaire buddies are also going to be good for you. We need you to buy that so we can continue to have these policies that favor us, because you need to vote for them. We can't, there's not enough of us. And somehow they've all bought into it. And there's like this dogma between the leaders that really between the voters and the leaders that really represent these conservative ideas. They're like, oh yeah, he's pushing all of these good ideas, even though he himself is kind of like this vessel that doesn't really represent all of our ideas, but politically he's pushing all of this stuff. So in that sense,
he's doing all the things we want him to do.
And in fact, Trump is doing it more, and he's doing it like in your face.
Yeah, he's more dogmatic about it.
Really, he's really up there pushing, saying all the stuff we talk about with each other, and makes it sound exactly like one of my buddies. All that kind of stuff. And so that's where that dogma bridges that gap.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly kind of wonder if it's, that 400-pound person sitting in their trailer collecting their food stamps and welfare checks that just think, well, we just need God to return. We need Donald Trump to be in there. We need a godly man in there, someone appointed by God, and everything's going to be fixed. It's going to be all right. I'm going to make a bunch of money.
Everything's going to be alt right.
Yeah. He's going to fix all my problems just like Jesus would.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to make it worse for you because you're going to lose that.
They literally don't know that that's not they seriously don't think about how Medicare and Social Security and welfare and all that stuff is political. They don't even think about the fact that that's politics. Or like they have no idea what party that's connected to or what's going to benefit. They just think that's there forever. Like that's a thing you can get is welfare.
And they're going to rail against the party that wants to keep that more solid and make sure that you do have that welfare net.
Because they don't realize. They don't even realize that the
Democrats
don't know where it
comes from.
Yeah, exactly.
How it was instituted.
They don't even think about it. Yeah, it's just just their money that they get.
Yeah.
It's just like here in Utah, when what do we have? They said they're like a $1.1 billion surplus right now or some crazy number. But yet they're still looking at slimming down the budget in the state, and they want to expand Medicare because they're like, we don't have the money. I'm like, well, there's a fucking surplus right there.
Mm-hmm.
You have the money to pay for it. You just won't fucking do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, why would we? We have religious organizations that can step in and help people, right? And that's going to happen. Some jackass on Facebook, I got in a little bit of an argument back and forth. Some asshole had posted a story from 2016 or 2017. We talked about it when it came out about the LDS Church donating $10 million to help build homeless shelters or whatever.
Yeah, which we figured is like point.
Yeah,
less than
it's a
1%.
Drop. It's a half of 1% of 1% of 1% of a drop into this bucket of money. That the LDS Church takes in annually, and he's trumpeting this as, oh, this is so great. The LDS Church has done wonderful things for people. Yeah. And this, the story was at least a year, if not 2 years old.
Ago,
and then he made some shitty comments about, oh yeah, I bet atheists of Utah, why don't they ever do anything like this? And he tagged atheists of Utah in it, so I get a notification, and so I go out and look, and I'm like, well, who's this fucking clown, and why? Like, how do I know him? Why is he? What the fuck is going on here? So then I go and read the story, see that it's way old, see a bunch of his shitty, like, super passive aggressive comments that were addressed to somebody who listens to the show. Sorry, Chad. and Chad had made some comments, and so I also responded on there. And it was just the guy who posted it is just like the biggest prick. Like he's just an asshole.
I would be really curious to see if you took the total worth of the LDS Church and figured out what percentage that 10 million represents, and then compared that to what percentage of atheists of Utah that is charitable, and see actually which one is, if it is even comparable. Yeah. Well, but the ultimately the truth is, the one thing we know for sure is that we can use churches instead of social programs because they obviously do all of that charitable work, or else how else could they justify their tax exemption? So,
because they don't get a file.
Well, and
that was a really long-winded joke that punchline didn't really hit. But.
Well, one of my comments, I think it might have been my first comment, was something along the lines of, I'm sure that if atheists of Utah was requiring, everybody in the state who was an atheist to pay 10% of their income to us, and then that we were also bringing in income from a bunch of our business ventures, that we would have absolutely no problem whatsoever donating much, much more.
Yeah.
Out of the billions of dollars that we take in annually, just donating $10 million 1 year, one time.
Also,
that would be no fucking problem at all. We would be donating billions of dollars, not $10 million.
Yeah. I was going to say, also give us a century to build this up.
Yeah, because we don't build temples, we don't build churches, we don't build steakhouses, we don't. Everybody who works in the organization, it's an all volunteer thing. No, the church or Atheists of Utah doesn't pay salaries and living expenses for an army of people. We don't send out people proselytizing and on missions. Like, none of that fucking happens. But if Atheists of Utah brought in billions of dollars per year, fuck yeah, we would be donating most of it to charity.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to build places of worship and maintain all that bullshit and take advantage of people.
Yep.
You probably just have to pay an accountant.
Like, he was just he was just such a snotty fucking prick about the whole thing too. Anyway, let's talk about some other things.
Okay. Other things.
I gotta look up pictures of DAMF.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, this is Dr. Hector Garcia, author of Alpha God, and you are listening to Godless Revolution.
Thank you to everybody who has rated the show on iTunes and Stitcher and are following us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And to all our Patreon patrons, you make the show possible.
What did you bring for us this week, Matthew?
This comes from Snopes.
Ooh, Snoops.
A popular meme in March this month questioned, it literally says March 2019, questioned why Bill Clinton had paid Paula Jones $850,000 to go away, quote unquote, yet the FBI hadn't raided his lawyer's office. Staying true to form, Trump supporters have oversimplified a point and they never understood to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
The meme was an obvious reference to two completely unrelated issues separated by decades. The 1994 lawsuit involving Bill Clinton and a search warrant executed by the FBI in April 2018 at the office of President Donald Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen. In short, the major differences in the cases referred to, by the meme, one of which involved the FBI raid on the lawyer's office and the other not. Were as follows. Clinton openly paid Paula Jones $850,000 to settle a sexual harassment lawsuit well after he became president and well after Jones had a chance to air her allegations to the public press and court system, while Trump secretly used an intermediary to pay hush money to porn actress Stormy Daniels just ahead of his presidential election in order to keep her allegations that she had an affair with him from reaching the public and influencing the election results against him. Those are two very, 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 very different things.
One was done publicly, and one was done in the shadows to make sure you didn't find out so it didn't look negative.
And then he lied about it repeatedly afterward.
Nothing Clinton did in settling Jones's civil lawsuit was illegal or even potentially illegal, but Trump's payment of hush money to Daniels through his lawyer was possibly an illegal act on the part of Trump and or Cohen, hence the raid on the latter's office, but not the office of Clinton's lawyer. So this claim is false.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just wanted to clear the air because I'm sure that's going to be going around forever.
Yeah.
So if you see that, refer to that.
But her emails,
But her emails,
Well, they did it, so why was it okay for them to do it?
Yeah, our guy does it, and all of a sudden it's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, so tell me what you don't have a problem with Bill Clinton doing it, and you don't have a problem with Donald Trump, or you should have a problem with both of them. Like, what the fuck are you even talking about?
Yeah, I hate that line. It's like, okay, yeah, I agree that person did something wrong. It doesn't make it right for another person to do the same wrong thing, and have it be okay for them to do it.
Yeah,
it's either wrong. Or not wrong.
I think where that's coming from is the attitude of persecution.
Yeah.
That's like the entire system is set up against us. Against us and Trump. So the Clintons can do whatever they want, but if Trump does the same thing, he gets his attorney raided. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Because the Clintons are part of the inside group and they get all the special treatment.
I think that's the point they're trying to make.
Yeah.
The Illuminati, the elite.
Which that's what
the global elite.
Yeah. All the people that are better than us.
Yeah. Which I never
get. Such a weird insult.
And I still feel people say it like,
yeah, weird flex, bro.
Yeah. Trump's not one of them. Like what? He's not one of them rich billionaires that has paid off people and tried to get stuff paid for stuff politically. He is that person. He is the person who used to pay those fucking people.
He's exactly that. Yeah.
He is the definition of being that group.
Child. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Before he was the main problem, he was a part of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when people keep saying, well, they just don't like him because he's not one of them Washington insiders. Like, no, he's the guy that paid the Washington insiders.
He was a Washington insider.
Yeah.
And now he's more of a Washington insider.
Now
because
he's Washington.
In Washington, yeah.
And now instead of collecting money from his buddies in Washington, he just collects it from foreign governments.
Yeah. What else you got for us?
Speaking of that and the comparisons, the bad comparisons they make, this comes from author Matthew Boose, Boose, and there is not a lot about this guy on the internet.
Matthew Boose?
So,
like, is it like a fake name, or is it just nothing on this
no,
guy?
I don't think it's fake. I just think that he hasn't done a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But he's an author for AmericanGreatness.com.
Okay, yeah.
And
already sounds sketchy.
It sounds Russian.
A weekly columnist at the Conservative Institute.
Oh,
yeah,
super sketchy.
He sounds super Russian.
So, this is just an excerpt. And so there's a couple of lines in here that I will accentuate. So just keep in mind these phrases he uses.
Okay.
For all the talk on the left about love and tolerance, it's getting impossible to ignore the evidence presented to our senses, which screams that the left is hard-hearted and hateful. Okay?
Okay.
So that's one thing. For the left, grace is not to be found.
Okay.
In any world above, and it's simply and its supply is precious in this world, too. The redemptive power of love is absent on the left.
Huh.
Where there is only vengeance and bitter recrimination.
This sounds like so much projection.
Right. So here's the funny part, right? Leftists might not think of themselves as members of a religion, but their ideology surely resembles one.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Hard-hearted and hateful. Mm-hmm. Grace not to be found.
Yeah. You're
redemptive power of love is absent. Vengeance. What? They sure resemble a religion. This guy's a conservative and very likely a Christian religious person.
Sure sounds like it. Yeah. He's
this
using
is so
all
funny.
Christian phrases. Yeah.
I know, but we talk about this too when like God debates, right? Well, they say, well, you have faith too. Like that's a bad thing.
Right.
You're the one arguing for faith.
Yeah.
Well, you have faith in this and this is just as bad. What are you talking about bad?
Yeah. Again, weird flex, bro. Like,
yeah. So here again, we have this where
the thing you do is bad.
He's literally telling us that religions are exactly what we say they are.
Mm-hmm. Except mine, of course.
Yeah. Right. The redemptive power of love is absent.
Mm-hmm.
So Jesus is null and void, totally irrelevant. Mm-hmm. No redemptive power of love in religion.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Crazy. Like, why would you publish that? Even if you wrote it, like reread that and go, oh shit.
Because they paid him 10 cents.
Well, and it just seems like there are a lot of people who are just completely incapable of any sense of self-reflection, right? That they can't for 1 second stop to think about how what they say, and you've mentioned this before, Matt, that what they say and do could be turned against them as easily as they're saying the shit about other people.
Yeah, and it's almost always on the right.
Yeah.
On the political right. I think that's why people on the left are tree huggers, bleeding heart liberals, all these soft feminine phrases, quote unquote feminine phrases that are used. Yeah, because the people on the left think more. They're thinking more about, they're more empathetic. Like, how would this affect that person? Oh, we got to make sure that, all races are involved here. We got to, and so you're trying to come up with a more rounded approach. And so, you end up, well, this solution isn't going to be that good because this corner of the people over here that I know about are going to really be negatively affected by that. And we can't, we don't want to do that. Where people on the right are looking for strong, decisive leadership, whether it's right or not. Mm-hmm. Just make a decision. That's all they care about. Make any decision.
Yeah. And it should be easy because it's either good or bad. There's no nuance.
Yeah, there's nothing else. Yeah, exactly. There is no other option. Yeah.
Nothing to consider but yourself. Maybe your immediate family.
Yeah. Sometimes not even yourself.
Yeah.
Oftentimes. They voted for Trump. So anyway.
Well, he came with an R.
Yeah. It's got an R by his name, so that's all that really matters.
An R for wrong.
He plays for my team. That's all I care about.
Actually, that leads perfectly into this. I know you have I know you have things to get to.
No, please. You
should be quick, but I put this together. I was thinking a couple of weeks ago, which dovetails, I think, into exactly what we're talking about. And it's like, it's just a little would you rather thought experiment, political edition. So the idea is, would you rather have a conservative or a liberal person? And I'll give you a bunch of situations, and you can say which one would you rather have a conservative or a liberal on your parole board if you were a prisoner trying to be released?
Liberal.
Yeah, I mean, right. As your local baker if you're gay and looking for a wedding cake.
Liberal.
Yeah. As the only group of people on a dark street and you're black.
Liberal.
Yeah.
As your small town neighbors and you're an immigrant wanting to be free to practice your strange religion.
Liberal.
As your governing body and you're a slave.
Liberal.
As your doctor, if you are a woman needing a sensitive procedure to remove a uterine parasite that will continue to grow and require more and more from you, possibly leading to your death.
Conservatives just think that any bit down there is icky anyway.
Yeah, yeah. As the one deciding if you can adopt a child.
Oh, yeah.
As your pharmacist if you need birth control. As your party's DJ. I was thinking about country music, and I would definitely want a liberal DJ even.
Yeah.
Even though it would be weird. Creating your child's science curriculum.
Yeah.
Being a foreign diplomat. The person in charge of setting tax rates. Local police officers. Making labor laws.
The list goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I guess I hadn't really thought about it in exactly those terms, but yeah, who would I want representing my interests, and not even just my interests, but just of people in general?
Right.
Who's going to be more compassionate, more empathetic, more thoughtful what they're doing?
Exactly what that points out. Like on the parole board, as far as police officers, neighbors and all that kind of stuff. You want somebody who's going to think about more than one side or two sides, somebody who isn't a black and white thinker.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you remember that case? I thought it was here. I can't remember what happened. Where the lady was, she had to have a C-section, and she had requested her ovaries be removed during the C-section because she had had complications in the past and she had difficult births. And she's like, I don't want to risk getting pregnant again. So could you please do a hysterectomy while you already got me open up and everything?
I think you mean hysterectomy.
But they all like, yeah, no problem. She goes through, has a C-section, she comes out of it, and she's in the room all stitched up. They're like, sorry, we couldn't give you a hysterectomy. It's against our beliefs.
Yeah.
It's like, when you said you would do what the medical procedure I requested because she had a bad history of childbirth in the past, which is why she had to have a C-section and she didn't want to risk it again.
Yeah.
And they would not do it because it's, to them, kind of like a form of future abortion. We're not going to take away your baby making factory.
Yeah, I know it's really, really hard for a lot of women. Like, even if they never want to have children and they've got problems in the downstairs area, it's really, really difficult for them to talk any doctor into performing a hysterectomy,
especially in the state,
or even just to tie their tubes.
Yeah,
and the thing is, it shouldn't even matter if there are plumbing problems, right? Like they should a perfectly healthy woman who's in her right mind that's considered this should be able to walk in and say, I don't want this
kids.
procedure.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to pay for whatever. And
my body, I get to do with it what I want. Like, you're my doctor. You can advise me, but this is my decision.
Ultimately,
this is what I want to do.
I had a friend that he wanted to get his, get snipped.
Mm-hmm.
And he went into the doc and he was going through the whole thing. The doctor asked him, how many kids do you have?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I told him, I got one kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, we should hold off on this I'm not going to perform this because you might want it reversed. He's like, no, I don't want any more. We both agreed. Me and my wife agree. We want one kid. And he said, the doctor said, no, I will not perform this on you because you've only had one kid.
And I wonder, sorry, I keep talking every time Dan wants to say
no, you're fine.
I wonder how much of this comes from insurance company regulations too. I mean, we say a lot about the first level of the medical care, profession, the doctors and the pharmacists and stuff.
Well,
I just don't know if bean counters and greasy lawyers that work for the insurance companies are up there setting, telling the doctors exactly what you can, here's what you can and can't do. I would. I know there's individual stuff happening with doctors too, but I just don't know.
I would think your insurance would encourage you to get snipped or have that procedure done, because then you're not making an insurance claim when you have a kid.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I just don't know.
They get to keep more of their money. It costs way less to get snipped than it does to have a kid.
Yeah.
And the insurance pays out way more for a kid.
Well, when my ex-wife and I had Lydia, my ex-wife, said, well, since I'm going to be it was similar to the story you just told, where she's like, well, I'm going to have the baby C-section because Lydia decided she was going to just be sideways the whole time. But so we had to have Lydia C-section, or my ex-wife had to have her C-section, and told the doctor, before the whole deal, like, well, while you're in there, would you just tie my tubes because this will be our second kid and we're done. We don't want any more kids. Yeah. And he said, well, I really don't like to do that, especially with somebody as young as you are. What if something, God forbid, happens to one of your kids and you want more?
You want to replace it?
Yeah.
Yeah. In case you want a replacement kid.
Which, and back then, like, our running joke together, living in the neighborhood with a bunch of little kids around was, you could always tell the Mormon family's kids because they were the ones outside wearing nothing but a diaper and with no adult supervision around because they just think their kids can be replaced. Like, oh, if something happens to that one, we'll just have another one, no big deal.
Just bring the body draped over both arms.
We've got 8 already. It's gonna, we didn't have more. Big deal.
Here's Mikey the third.
We're only gonna be losing, 10 to 15% of the family, so it's no big deal. And we can make more. We'll make up for it.
I need another one. Mine's busted.
And so that was our little running joke together at the time.
Well, and there's also some sort of cultural thing about not watching or teaching kids within Mormondom as well. They just let them run anywhere, all over the libraries, whatever. There's just never any real kind of supervision,
real guidance or supervision or parenting.
Tangent,
and so we were both like, well, no, we know we don't want to have any more kids.
Yeah.
Like, if something happens to one of the kids that we do have or will have, then we will mourn them. Yeah. And be sad, but we're still not going to want any more kids.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. And ultimately, he ended up talking us into, instead of her getting her tubes tied, me getting a vasectomy because they're more easily reversed than a tubal ligation. So,
but still, if she's making the request to have her tubes tied.
Right, it should be up to her. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like she's asking for her kidney to be fucking removed.
Yeah. Well, and the whole deal was, I'm going to be having a C-section anyway. I'm going to be cut open. Yeah. I'm going to be in pain. It's going to be I'm in a hospital. Like, let's just.
You're there.
While you're there changing the transmission.
Yeah.
Let's get this other deal taken care of. Right. And he didn't refuse, but he very much encouraged us to have me get a vasectomy instead.
In a subtle way, he refused.
Sort of, yeah. Like, I don't know if we would have kept pushing. But it was just, I don't know, we were young and dumb also. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. Because, boy, that looks like it's going to be painful for you. So
I would have been like, well, no, you're going to tie her tubes and snip my vasectomy because that gives us a better chance of not fucking up.
Double covered.
Snip his vasectomy.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, they burn, don't they burn the ends or what do they do?
Well, there are a couple. I don't know.
I don't want to know about this.
I don't know about the current procedures. Back when I had it done 20 some odd years ago, there were 2 different procedures. There's one where you can get a small incision above and next to, or above each testicle, and then they'll pull the vas tube out and cut a section out, and then they cauterize the ends and tie them off and put it back in. Or you can have the less invasive thing done, which is what I had, where they basically poke a hole at the base of your penis.
Oh, fuck that.
On the underside, and then they take this tool that stretches it out. Like they insert this thing and it stretches the hole out.
And this is less invasive?
It's less, well, it's like you don't have to have 2 sets of stitches. It's just one small, like.
Yeah, but they're gauging your dick.
I don't even know. I don't think I even had any stitches. Like I just had a Band-Aid.
What?
So,
you got a Band-Aid on your dick neck?
So they.
That's hilarious.
Right at a turtleneck.
So they did it. They basically just make a small hole and then they stretch it out. The worst thing was
when they let it go. Does it sound like a balloon? Like
they then take forceps and reach in and grab the vas tube and pull it out, and then give you a shot in the vas tube to numb it.
That.
So yeah, like the whole time until they put the numbing shot into the vas tube, it's just like somebody railing your balls the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
So I had the doc gave me a Valium before, and so that was nice.
Yeah,
like
I'd imagine people would be squirming all over.
Yeah, I'd never had Valium before, and and this was just an his in-office procedure, and so he gave me the Valium and went in and had all this done. But yeah, while he's in there rooting around for the vas tube and then pulls it out and then gives you a shot in that, and then cuts out a little section of it, like little 1/4-inch section of the vas tube, and then cauterizes each end, and then ties a knot in each end and puts it back in. And then grabs the other one and pulls it out and gives you a shot in it and does the same thing.
It's like a cartoon, tying the knot thing there.
But like I could smell the burning as he's cauterizing the ends. Yeah. And then on the table I can see the like it looked like
I'm glad you said burning because I was really concerned where that was going to go.
The 2 little...
It just opens it up
like
and I
noodles?
can smell.
It looked like the 2 little, two little bits of spaghetti. Just like 2
Angel
little
hair.
1/4-inch sections of spaghetti sitting on the little silver table with the white paper laid on it. Yeah.
Yeah, they gave me the same drug for my when I had my eyes done. Didn't do shit.
Oh yeah,
I was still fucking in there like freaking the fuck out. I'm like, I thought this Valium was supposed to calm me the fuck down.
Yeah, to have your eye noodles clipped.
Yeah.
No,
when I had my LASIK.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still freaky as fuck. If anybody ever tells you don't see anything going on when they do that to you, they're fucking lying.
Maybe it was all in your head.
No, I could see them scrubbing my eyeball.
Oh, yeah?
I couldn't feel it, but I could see it.
Yeah.
It was fucking weird.
Yeah, well, and then afterward, like they tell you after you have a vasectomy that you're not supposed to lift anything heavy. You're supposed to take it easy for a little while.
Don't want to bust a nut.
But, the recovery time for the thing that I had done is much less, whatever.
Okay.
But I did it like 6 months after Lydia was born, and...
You got a Carey baby.
I came home afterward, and she came running over, and I picked her up, and something went haywire, and my right testicle swelled up to about the size. It was a little bigger. It was a little smaller than a softball.
You didn't have ramen coming out of your Band-Aid, did you?
No. And then my left one swelled up also, but like both of my testicles were about the size of a softball each. And like
it's like
black
that episode of South Park
and purple,
what?
Yeah, super
Why were they
bruised,
black?
and they swelled up, and I had to.
Yours aren't normally black.
No, not normally. But I remember whenever, that happened, and then for like the next 3 or 4 days, anytime I went to sit down, I had to grab my junk and like put it on my lap, and then put ice on it. So I would have to scoop my junk up onto my lap and put ice on it when I sat down.
If I knew you at the time,
my 2 giant balls,
I would have gotten you a tiny little toy wheelbarrow.
Yeah, I kind of felt like Randy. Like years later when that episode of South Park came out where he's got the giant testicles
to get the
in a wheelbarrow, I was like, that's kind of how I felt. Yeah. Yeah, I accept. I wish I could have just bounced around on him like he did in that. Yeah. We got 2 more short stories to wrap out the evening. We'll do those in just a second.
This is Natalie Newell of Science Moms and the Parenthetical Science Podcast. You are listening to The Godless Revolution.
If you have questions, comments, concerns, compliments, corrections, criticisms, or concepts for content, contact the show via email at godlessrevolution@gmail.com, by text or voicemail at 330-81-REBEL, or Twitter the twatter at TGR Podcast. Thank you!
The first of the last two stories we will do this evening involves our old pal, Rick Wiles.
Is he our pal?
No.
He ain't never bought me a birthday present.
He just seems to get more nutty as the years progress.
Well, and now he's allowed to be nuttier with the audience that's been created.
Well, and this harkens back to shit that I heard when I was little, like during the Satanic Panic and stuff about, oh, everybody's going to be, you'll have a barcode on you, you'll be implanted. Then when they started coming out with like RFID and Bluetooth, then the Christians all lost their fucking mind. Oh, this is it. This is the end times. It's coming to pass. We're all going to be marked. We're all going to be tracked and blah, blah, blah. Just freaking out about stupid, ridiculous shit, right? Like, oh no, new technology. Yeah. Oh, it's of the devil.
Speaking of new technology, where we were shooting at this last week in Salt Lake, had 5G service. It was great.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
You don't have 5G on your phone, do you?
I was said 5G on my phone as I was down there.
Wow. That's interesting.
So it was the first time I seen it pop up.
Interesting. I didn't know that your phone was capable of that.
I guess it is.
Fantastic.
Yours isn't?
No.
Oh, mine's better.
Well. only until I upgrade to the next phone. But this comes to us from Right Wing Watch. It says, Rick Wiles, your phone company is creating the Mark of the Beast system. End Times broadcaster Rick Wiles is currently in Barcelona, Spain. This is from the end of February, so I've had this one in our queue for a little bit. Covering the Mobile World Congress, where he witnessed a session yesterday during which a man had an RFID microchip implanted in his skin, and another person used an implanted chip to make a financial transaction. As someone who is convinced that the return of Jesus Christ is imminent, Wiles predictably freaked the fuck out. It doesn't say that. I added the fuck out. Freaked out about having supposedly just witnessed people voluntarily accepting the mark of the beast that is foretold in the book of
Revelations?
I was going to say regulation, but no, it's Revelation.
I haven't read all of Revelation, but I guess I missed the part where they talk about RFID tags.
Oh, well, you have to read between the lines, Ryan.
Oh.
They were foretelling about the stuff. They just didn't know that we would call RFID chips.
Do I need to do that funny thing where like you put lemon juice on it and like hold a candle below it to get what's between the lines to actually become visible?
Oh, because they had written in lemon juice.
Oh, yeah. So now I got to do the candle thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I just hold a candle to my Bible then to reveal those in-between words.
The secret messages.
Okay, I got you. I won't tell anybody.
Super double secret messages.
I'll be sure to keep it a secret.
Okay. Rather than read any more of the story, we'll just go right to the video to hear what this loony has to say.
We are blowing the whistle on what the mobile phone industry is doing. I'm telling you, they're setting up the Mark of the Beast system, and you need to be alarmed. You need to tell your phone company that you are going to resist it unto death. You have to resist it unto death.
Wait a second.
Is the phone company forcing this on people?
Yeah.
And look at his two friends. They're both like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Actually, I want that guy in the middle. I want his beard.
Yeah, he's got a really nice beard.
He's got a good beard.
Yeah.
But, okay, so I need to get this straight here. So they're at a World Mobile like tech thing.
Right.
And the guy got the RFID.
That's devil magic.
Voluntarily implanted in him. It was his idea. And he did a financial transaction with it. He didn't make a fucking phone call with it. So shouldn't he be saying...
Well, but it's mobile technology, Ryan.
Yeah, but shouldn't he be saying the banks want to put the mark of the beast in you to... Because my debit card has an RFID tag in it.
Well, and like I said, it's not like the phone companies are saying, you have to have this chip implanted in you in order to use our products or service.
And
that's not what's fucking happening here.
No. And that's not even to use a phone it's just...
it's a completely different thing.
It's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
You have to do this. There is no choice in this. There is no gray area. This isn't like, well, if I don't feel, no, this is.
The guy on the left looks super skeptical, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's just like cocking one eyebrow like, what the fuck are you talking about?
He is giving him the what the fuck look, and his hair is giving him the what the fuck look too.
Even the guy in the middle is like, you sound a little bit crazy here, Rick.
This is life or death. You have to resist it. Anybody who receives the mark of the beast shall be cast into the lake of fire.
How does he... What makes him believe that this is the mark of the beast anyway?
That's a good question. And what says that person didn't want to swim in a lake of fire?
You need to contact your phone company and say, I know what you're up to. I know where you're taking us. And I am going to resist with all my might. I will not go there. If you think you're going to drag me into that type of world, that we're going to have a cashless system, that you're going to microchip us, that you're going to transfer payments through our phone by the contact of a microchip in my skin, I'll tell you where you can put your microchip.
In my ass.
He's tried to keep up, couldn't figure out cell phones, so now he's freaking out.
Now they're all evil. I don't know what it's doing. It's evil.
And I mean, I got this. We all have debit cards and credit cards, and most of them come with an RFID tag in it now. I have never once had to hold up my debit card to my phone to be like, okay, I need to make sure I put money in it. Hey, look, now there's money in my card.
No, he's kooky.
It's,
and you need to.
I'm trying to follow his line of thought here, but it doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's impossible.
Be real blunt with the phone companies. Folks, this is no laughing matter. I believe that Lucifer is preparing to re-enter the world stage again. Once again, he will dominate this world.
And because our God is so fucking weak and pathetic, there's nothing we can do about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's nothing God could even do about it.
You know what I say? If God didn't want us having RFID tags implanted in our bodies, he would have had our skin covered in RFID blockers.
Yeah, what a shitty design this God made.
Yeah.
I know. Why is it humans always have to bring us a message, and humans always have to do the work, and humans always have to be vigilant looking out for all these crazy fucking hidden signs?
Yeah, and we need people like Rick Wiles out there to point out when we need to be alarmed about something. Because God's not talking to anybody directly, or maybe he's just talking to Rick Wiles directly.
Well, yeah, it is true news.
Yeah.
Well, right now, God is up in heaven going, Rick, I'm trying to make life easier on you by implanting an RFID tag in your hand so it makes your grocery store experience just that much better.
So that just reminded me, there's a new show called Miracle Workers.
Yes.
I started watching that, but then I had a weird chain of thoughts, so that reminded me of Miracle Workers, and then I remembered that Tracy and I had started watching Jim Carrey's series called Kidding.
Yeah,
Have you watched that, dude?
That's fucking dark.
It's really, really good. It's dark and beautiful. Like, it's super fucking dark, but it's also like really raw and just very truthful and just beautiful in a lot of the presentations on the show. Like,
have you finished,
and the scenes are amazing.
Have you finished that one yet?
Yes.
I love how it kind of shows.
I love the kitchen scene.
Oh,
when the thing happens and the whole family's like, "Fuck you!" Yeah, it's a really, really good show. If you haven't been watching it, you should absolutely watch it. I hadn't watched it for a long time because I was like, it's about a guy who does a kids show and whatever.
But it's more about how repressing your feelings and everything, and then it all kind of blows up at once, and people trying to control his life.
It's really fucking good. It's really, really good. Super dark, but also funny and heartwarming, and it's really good.
And I really
it's
thought
dark and beautiful.
I really thought his kid was going to die in it.
Oh yeah,
during that house scene where they're smoking weed.
Oh yeah,
I really thought it was like, oh, they're going to fucking die.
Yeah, yeah.
But the other one, that new Jesus show,
Miracle Worker.
Yeah, I had forgotten about it. Like I'd seen that was coming out like in December or January. I remember hearing about it. And I forgot all about it. Then I saw 1 million moms was protesting. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a show I want to watch.
I think we've watched 3 or 4 episodes of that, and I'm like, it's okay.
I think it's funny. I love Steve Buscemi as God in it because he's just
inept and
I think it's the very first episode where he's sitting at dinner with his family and he's like the fucked up, like, we gave you Earth, the easiest planet to take care of, and you keep fucking it up. And it's all like they're all gods and they all have their own worlds, and he's the fuck up in the family.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not exactly what I was expecting, and it drags on a bit, but yeah, I mean, it's good. But kidding is really good.
Yeah.
It's
a comedy with 2 dueling stories going on it.
Yeah.
For the Jesus-y one.
For the miracle workers, yeah. Let's hear the rest of what Rick has to say.
He is the God of this world. He is the one that this world is looking to.
Steve?
And we saw today, we heard people talking about their desire to see blood. We saw them.
Were they Christians? Don't they always fucking talk about bathing in the blood and blood of Christ is going to wash away your sins? And that's like, it's all blood ritual worship in Christianity. Yep.
The people that were there, they're godless, they're Luciferian, they're devil worshippers.
Which one?
Weren't you there, Rick?
Waiting
Isn't
for
that what you're
this
fucking talking about?
Luciferian, demonic, satanic empire to rise up.
Empire.
And they're going to make war against the saints. They're going to make war against the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church of God. They're coming after every
I didn't
believer.
know he was Catholic.
And your phone company is involved in this.
I thought he was just your run-of-the-mill wacky evangelical guy. Yeah,
that's
not a Catholic apostolic preacher. What a weirdo! So I had heard about this story, and then I just happened to be the phone that I'll be upgrading to. I'll be upgrading my Note 8. To the Note 10 when it comes out.
Ooh.
Dude, it's going to be fucking awesome. So cool. A lot of the features that have been rumored to be available and shit. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I want one of those. But one of the rumored leaks about it is that its screen size will be 6.66 inches.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was like, Rick Wiles is going to lose his fucking mind.
Yeah.
It might have been you I saw a post about that.
Yeah, it probably was. Yeah, because I posted the story out there.
Yeah.
Because I had seen this, and then I had that on the mind, and then I saw this story about their screen being 6.66 inches, and I was like, oh yeah.
So you're saying
there are a lot of Christians that are going to go fucking crazy.
So you're saying old Rick might be onto something.
I'm old Rick. Lastly, we have Glenn Beck. This is another scene from CPAC.
We haven't seen old Glenn Beck in a little while. I don't think.
It's been a minute.
Much.
Yeah.
It's he's just kind of hanging back lately, I think, not saying anything too incredibly crazy until he goes to CPAC, and then he's got to throw out some red meat for the crowd.
Yeah,
because apparently he thinks socialism is just like Friday the 13th movies.
That's an interesting comparison.
Yeah.
If socialism were a movie, socialism would be Friday the 13th, because it seems to always stock college co-eds who all think that the death and violence is just a scary story that never happened, and they are so convinced that it will never happen to them that they mock the old person the one person in town who saw it firsthand. They call him crazy, a nut who still believes in ghost stories. And then they're all dead. And then Jason, his body disappears. And only the old guy who saw it coming saw that the body is gone.
Sounds a lot like the story of Jesus' resurrection, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And I don't remember any old guy in there telling him, like, no, usually they all die.
Also, he's taking, this is way too wordy. He should have
refined this.
Done a lot of rewrites and cut this down, because following along with him it's an abstract enough idea as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when he's got 15 minutes, only one idea, he's got to stretch it.
Well, and when he's got to go on and on about like explaining the core theme and the core thing that he's trying to get, but he's got to take this long route in order to get there. It's like, dude,
so you don't know where it started, and you're like, yeah.
And we have sequel after sequel. It happens time and again in movie theater after movie theater and country after country. Make no mistake. Stop trying to hook up in some cabin in the woods and prepare, because Jason is coming. He's right behind you, and this time he's coming with a hammer and a sickle.
I just got one question.
I thought the Republicans were friends with the Russians.
They are. Yeah. Of all the countries we've all, we invade.
But that's communism, not socialism.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But of all the countries that we go in, we invade.
He said hammer and sickle, not me.
Yeah.
Of all the countries we go and invade, overthrow dictators, try to put in our own form of government into them. How successful has that been?
Hasn't gone really well.
I think we got a pretty miserable track record of actually.
It's not super
succeeding.
Great. It's not awesome for sure.
Yeah,
probably C-, maybe a D.
I was gonna go with an F.
The big problem with the old guy in this story, which is obviously himself, because he's standing up there,
the one raising the alarm bells. Yeah.
The big problem with it is that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about because
well, clearly, yeah.
Because the time that they want to get back to when they were kids was a time that was set up by FDR under democratic socialist conditions. The perfect economy, the brand new house for $16,000, the retirement and a gold watch, the company loyalty, the one, single working, one person working in a home was more than enough to
support a household.
All of that was set up not by Reagan. That came in 1981. The 50s and 60s were set up by FDR, who was a democratic socialist.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for some reason, they've gone back in their mind and rewritten that as super conservative policies and the 50s, and those things are somehow connected. It was none of that. It was none of the conservative policies that made that time good for them.
Right, absolutely. And they seem to, not understand or realize that all of the programs that they love and that they aspired to be a person in these various socialist program and positions, that they are social programs, police, firefighters, military,
our fucking government.
Yeah. All of these are social programs. And then they benefit later from these social programs later in life when they use Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's right there in the fucking name. It's Social Security.
Well, and not only
socialist program.
And they all went to public school.
Yeah.
Well, then you got I-80, the largest interstate that cuts from east to west through this fucking country. The Eisenhower Highway that was built with the New Deal, the socialist plan to get people back to work and rebuild the infrastructure of this nation, which was a socialist idea. And guess what? That road needs some work again.
And even, most of these people of the older generations who have college degrees, they probably went to, a university that received public funding as well, so that their tuition wasn't as high.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's being cut more and more all the time because we don't like those socialist programs.
I remember when a couple years ago, Wisconsin slashed, it was like over 10 years. I think they lost $50 million over 10 years for state colleges.
Mm.
But yet the same year, they gave $300 million for the Milwaukee Bucks to build a new stadium.
Yeah. The one other big glaring problem with Beck and all these others is the conflation between democratic socialism and communist dictatorships.
Yes.
Right.
And for anybody to think that a communist dictatorship can actually happen in this country, they forget that we have a lot of rules and regulations and a constitution that would have to be completely fucking overthrown by a vast majority of people in Congress in order for that to even consider to be happening.
Yeah, and so in order to get that, we have to start with a fascist dictatorship.
Yeah.
Like we have now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it's not that. That's obviously hyperbole, but.
Well, and I was just thinking, we've talked on several episodes about, regulations. The conservatives and the GOP generally are for relaxing or removing a bunch of regulations, right? Regulations are bad. Regulations
it harms
stifle
growth.
Innovation. It harms growth.
Yeah. In some areas, they want to do that.
Yeah. And we've talked about, the regulations don't just fucking happen by themselves. They don't appear out of magic or out of thin air because there was never an issue, but we decided to write a regulation anyway. And then I was just thinking, with all of the shit that Donald Trump has done during his presidency, he's anti-regulation. He wants to remove regulations for a bunch of different things. but his actions after he leaves office and we get somebody else in office, there's going to be all kinds of new regulations put in place because it has highlighted the need for regulations in a bunch of different places. Yeah. Even in the office of the presidency, where I'm guessing we're going to see regulations stating that in order to become president, you have to release tax information. Return, You have to. It's not just a suggestion or something that you could get in ethics issues with, but you will have to leave behind your businesses. You can't, you'll have to set up a blind trust. Like, all of the shit that he's done point to a need for regulations in those areas, right? That's why those regulations will be created.
Yeah, and it was because other people that ran for president in the past were willing to do those because they was the right thing to do. Like,
and then it points to, some people who are decent people will follow what is a good and morally and what is in line with what is in line with having a good sense of morality and a good sense of ethics. And then you've got people like Donald Trump, who is a libertarian's wet dream. And you can see why we need these types of regulations.
Yep. Yeah. He's the kind of person that just comes in and is going to go, well, I'm going to do, they're not telling me I can't, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But
the market will decide.
He breaks all kinds of
and then I'll
just
declare
rules.
Bankruptcy when it tanks.
But he just honors nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was weird as I sat here and thought about it that, he's all against regulation, but the things that he's doing are going to ultimately lead to more regulations because we see the need for them now. We're going to have to write new laws. We're going to have to write new things to keep this kind of heinous fuckery from happening in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of you fuckos that they're in place.
Just
Jesus Christ.
You've been paying attention to the news here in Salt Lake about that inland port?
What? No.
So I've been paying attention to it for the last...
An inland port? What port of...
Well, do you remember about last year sometime, a Utah representative who has interest in the coal companies here in the West wanted to buy a port in San Francisco.
Like a shipping port?
Like a shipping port, yeah. To store coal that was drilled from here in Utah. And the guy had like $30 million of Utah money to buy it, which is going to benefit his coal company. But when they found out he didn't have buyers for that coal, they said, no, you're not allowed to store your coal at this port. This is for import and export. You can't buy a stall and just store your shit there. So they lost that. Now this year, Utah is trying to build an inland port just outside of Salt Lake City.
For the storage of...
For the potential storage of the coal that this guy can't sell.
Uh-huh.
And also they're deregulating EPA regulations, which makes it easier for him just to store that coal wherever the fuck. It doesn't matter if it leaches into the groundwater and gets into your drinking water and contaminants and all that other shit.
Gross.
Oh, and he's using state funds to help benefit his company.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
That's why we need rules and regulations and laws.
Mm-hmm.
Protect us from the heinous fuckery.
Yep.
That'll wrap things up for tonight's episode. Before we go, I want to make sure that we thank our Patreon patrons. That would be... You get to start.
Alan Firth.
Who goes next?
You go next.
New Mania.
Christy Kalbach.
Gaytheist.
Larry Wilson.
Stephen Andrus.
Let the meat go fatty.
Two skeptical chaps.
Michelle Short.
Vanessa.
Freethinker 215.
Captain Samples.
Utah Outcasts.
Janet Uter.
Marius Kot Butrakowski. Did I fuck up the order?
Yeah.
God damn it.
I think I did. Wesley Aaron.
Andrew Vodopich.
Angelica Harris.
Jeremy Goodson.
Brandy Hamrick.
Megan Kennedy.
The Foz.
Jeff Peterson.
Jesse Pointer.
Savita Kuna.
Purple Dragon.
And Taylor Green.
Thank you all very, very much.
We love you. We're gonna love you.
Long time.
Forever. Appreciate you ever so much.
Are they gonna hear my piercing story?
Your Angelica piercing story?
Yes, I will. We have some cutting room floor stuff that we'll put in the episode for Patreon patrons, where Ryan talks more
about my nipple.
He speaks a little more in depth about his nipple that is pierced. Like that seems to be a deep piercing.
It's a deep one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all the way through. Yeah.
No, I mean like It's like they pulled
not
your nipple
out on the
out
tip.
and yeah.
No, he just he actually spread it apart and went straight through.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's video out there. It's on my Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. We talk a bit more about that and some other things that I'll throw in there as from the cutting room floor extras. So thank you all very much. And until next week, crucified technophobes.
Leave a review and we'll see if you can swim.
And rate the show 5 times a day toward the Mecca of the Beast.